things that we are trying to do, because we do have, he started a victim, a violent crime task force, and I'm going to ask him to come talk to you for a few minutes, and then we have some other victims' families that are going to talk, and some other legislators and community leaders that are going to come talk to you.
Right. First off, thank you all for being here today. The fact that you're standing out here in the rain says a lot about you, but more importantly, it says a lot about the issue that we're here today to support. First off, I know we've already applauded, but we've got the Strange family represented up here. We've got the Honeywell family represented up here, and I know that standing in this audience before me today, we have other victims. Can we just give as loud a round of applause to appreciate what these families are going through and to thank them for being here today?
Woo! 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 Woo!
First, let me say this. Change does not start with an elected official. Change does not start with me, does not start with someone who serves in this building behind me. Change starts with a group of people assembled in the rain on a Saturday morning. You are out here in these conditions because you believe in something bigger than yourself. And that is the most powerful thing out here. Right now, no amount of words can tell you the importance of bond reform in the state of South Carolina. No speech that Alan Wilson or Katrina Shealy or Rick Quinn or anyone can give can tell you the importance of bond reform. Young man, would you step up here real quick? I'm not going to ask you to say anything, but you have the biggest back up here. I want you to turn around. And no bonds for criminal violence. This right here is all the words, and this photograph is all you need to see the need for bond reform. Thank you. I hope someone in the media gets a copy of that shirt and shows it tonight, because it is so important that we reform our system, and not just one area of our system. It's great when elected officials give money to local law enforcement and put more cops on the street. We need more law enforcement on the street. But here's the problem. More law enforcement means more arrest. More arrest means more people stuck in jail, which puts pressure on judges to put people out on bond because they don't have beds. We need to have more prosecutors, more judges. We need to have more jail beds because we need to go clean the streets up. It's a holistic approach. I'm trying right now to work on a criminal justice reform bill that includes things like, when we go to strike a jury, why does the state only get 5 peremptory strikes and the defense get 10? There needs to be equal strikes. We need to start with an evil, level playing field.
That's right.
When someone is out on bond for armed robbery and kidnapping, and they get arrested again, there should be no discretion for a judge. It should be automatic revocation. That thug should be back in jail where they belong. You're right.
That's right. That's right.
We need to do everything that we can to support not just the law enforcement community, but the prosecution community, because the criminal justice system does not end when the cuffs go on the bad guy. The criminal justice system ends when the bad guy has the door slammed in the jail slammed in his face in prison. But unfortunately, the criminal justice system never ends for the survivors of a violent crime. These people up here are never going to get parole from the pain that they feel at the loss of their loved one or for the anguish that their loved one has suffered. And so that is why I'm personally touched by the people that are up here today to support these families, and there are other families here today that have probably suffered in some way. I want to say thank you to everyone here in some small way for being out here today. We're working on a task force that's going to try to take a holistic approach, and we're going to take these thoughts, these ideas, and we're going to try to put them into action. Some of those actions might require legislative support. Unfortunately, my voice doesn't carry as much weight sometimes as yours does. You are powerful. People listen to you. What I need from you is I need for you to do in the future what you're doing today, to show up, to speak out, to be heard. Because I'll tell you right now, elected officials do listen. They do listen. They will listen to you. So when Rick Quinn or Katrina Sheila or Alan Wilson or someone else comes to you and says, we need to stand together and get behind this law, we're going to need you to pick up the phones. Each of you is a force multiplier. We're not going to continue to be victims here today, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be soldiers. Each of you is a force multiplier. You can get 5 friends to call a member of the General Assembly who's holding up a bill. Multiply this group times 5 and ask them to pick 5 friends. You start sending letters, emails, phone calls. It's amazing how good laws will get passed. The funding will get to the people who keep us safe on the streets and prosecute the thugs and keep them in prison. The resources will get to where it needs to get when you do what you're doing today. Thank you for the support that you've not only shown these families, but the support you've shown people in my line of work. Without you, we couldn't do what we do. Thank you so much for being here today, and I guess, Katrina? Representative Quinn reminded me of something when he was up here, and since I've got force multipliers and I see reporters out there scribbling furiously and I see some cameras back here, I was shocked to learn how many people did not know this fact. Most people think that you have a constitutional right to a bond, and you do. What they don't know is in the 1990s we amended our Constitution so that if you commit a violent offense, you are not entitled to a bond. You can get a bond, but you are not entitled to one. And it was amazing how many magistrates and attorneys and lay persons did not know that. So what I'm telling you today is that if you go to court and you're in victims advocacy, or if you know a family that's going to a bond hearing, or if you know anyone in the prosecution or law enforcement community, let them know. Spread the word. If you're a reporter, Google it. Article 1, Section 15 of South Carolina's Constitution. You are not entitled to a bond if you've been charged with a violent offense. Amen. And we need to get the word out. Our office drafted a memorandum that's going to be distributed statewide to every prosecution and law enforcement agency so that they can go in there and read word for word on the record, so that when that judge makes a decision to put someone on bond, which they have every right to make that decision, they're going to make that decision with the full knowledge the person standing before them is not entitled to it. I just also want to thank these other folks representing victims who lost their lives standing. You're not up here, but your signs are screaming very loudly, so thank you for being out here today.